Hello. Thank you for taking the time for yourself and stopping by again. Today, let's explore together where our inner strength might be hiding. Tell me, are you familiar with that feeling? You leave the doctor's office and there's a kind of emptiness inside, as if you've shared your deepest concerns. What's troubling you and preventing you from living life to the fullest? And in return, you get either stock phrases or the feeling that you weren't quite understood, that they didn't hear the main thing. Sounds familiar, right? We come seeking help, relief, and sometimes it feels like we're banging our heads against a brick wall. Yet, we so desperately want the doctor to be not just a specialist, but a true ally, a partner on the path to health. Today, I want to share with you 5 phrases that I myself used to say to doctors often. I said them with the best intentions, out of politeness, not wanting to burden them with my problems, out of some kind of false modesty. And you know what I realized? It was precisely these phrases, strangely enough, that prevented me from getting the very help I came for. Like invisible barriers, they stood between me and the doctor, preventing them from seeing the full picture of my condition. It's like trying to admire a beautiful landscape through a fogged-up window. You can sort of see something, but the details escape you, and all the beauty is lost. Once I stopped saying them, I was surprised to find that my doctor's visits became completely different, more productive, more trusting, and most importantly, more effective. I promise you, if you try to eliminate these phrases from your vocabulary when talking to your doctor, you'll feel how the attitude changes, how mutual understanding emerges, and how help truly arrives. These are simple but very powerful changes in communication. Let's figure out together how small adjustments in our speech can dramatically improve the quality of medical care we receive. Stay with me, and you'll learn how to turn every doctor's visit into a step towards better well-being. The first phrase I decisively gave up. Doctor, it's probably just old age. Oh, how often we diagnose ourselves with this before the doctor even has a chance to ask the first question. Knees creaking? Well, what do you expect? It's age. Memory failing? Old age is no joy. We say this with a kind of resigned smile, as if apologizing for our body living, changing, signaling something. I remember Eleanor. She was 72 when we met. A charming woman, a former teacher, with a lively mind and a sparkle in her eyes. But that sparkle was dimming more and more often. You know, she'd tell me, I go to the doctor, complain about shortness of breath when climbing to the 2nd floor, and then I add, well, it's just old age, doctor, I understand. And he nods, prescribes some general tonic. But I don't feel any better. I used to go hiking in the mountains, and now walking to the store is an ordeal. Eleanor was convinced that all her ailments were an inevitable companion of age, a sort of cross to bear with dignity. And this phrase, it's just old age, became a shield behind which she hid her fear and despair. It was as if she was preemptively absolving the doctor of responsibility, implying, what can you do? Time takes its toll. And what was really happening? When we say it's old age, we essentially close the door to further investigation. The doctor, hearing this from the patient, might subconsciously agree, yes, age-related changes, what's there to look for, and important points are missed. Because behind the mask of old age can hide quite specific, treatable, or manageable conditions. Early heart failure, thyroid problems, vitamin deficiencies, even side effects from medications. When Eleanor, after our long talks, decided to change her approach, and at her next appointment, instead of the usual "it's old age," clearly described her symptoms. Doctor, I'm concerned about shortness of breath with the slightest exertion. I feel my heart pounding and my legs swell by the evening. The doctor looked at her with completely different eyes. He ordered tests that previously seemed unnecessary. And it turned out that Eleanor had an early stage of coronary heart disease, which could be successfully controlled with properly selected therapy and lifestyle changes. Can you imagine? Not just old age, but a specific diagnosis. By replacing this phrase with a clear description of symptoms, you give the doctor the key to the puzzle. Your body is not an old, worn-out mechanism. It's a wise system that sends you signals. Old age is not a diagnosis. It's just a stage of life where you can and should feel good. Stop writing yourself off with this phrase, and you'll see how your doctor starts looking for the real causes of your ailment, not just blaming it on your years. Try it, and you'll be surprised how much more attentively they listen to your complaints. The second phrase I struck from my vocabulary, I don't want to bother you over trifles. Such familiar politeness, right? We were taught from childhood, Don't distract busy people. Don't bother them with minor things. And here we are, grown, sensible people, coming to a doctor who, in fact, is there to listen to us and help, and we start with apologies. Doctor, I'm sorry to bother you. I just have this little thing. Or, in the middle of our story, describing something genuinely worrying, we suddenly catch ourselves. Oh, why am I telling you all this? It's just minor stuff, not worth your time. I had an acquaintance, Arthur, in his late 60s, a very intelligent, modest man. He suffered from sleep disturbances for a long time. He'd wake up several times a night, feeling exhausted in the morning, as if he hadn't slept at all. When he finally decided to see a doctor, he began his spiel exactly like that. Doctor, I'm sorry to bother you with such a trifle, but I haven't been sleeping well lately. It's probably nothing serious. You have patients with real problems. He had convinced himself so much that his problem was insignificant, almost shameful, that he nearly left without waiting for advice. His habit of not bothering led him to endure discomfort for years. That significantly reduced his quality of life. It seemed to him that complaining about poor sleep was like being fussy. But what is a trifle when it comes to your health? What seems like a minor issue to you might be an important symptom for the doctor, a piece of the puzzle that helps complete the picture. Constant fatigue, a little cough, slight dizziness, changes in appetite, even poor sleep. These are not trifles. These are signals from your body that should not be ignored. When you tell the doctor it's a trifle, you're devaluing your own sensations and giving the doctor a reason not to delve deeper into the problem. They might think, well, if the patient themselves considers it unimportant, then it's probably nothing serious. When Arthur, after our conversations, went to another doctor and simply said, Doctor, I've been sleeping poorly for several years. I wake up exhausted, and it's greatly affecting my life. Please help me figure out the cause. The approach was completely different. The doctor started asking clarifying questions, ordered a study, polysomnography, and it turned out that Arthur had obstructive sleep apnea, a serious condition that not only interfered with sleep, but also increased the risks of cardiovascular diseases. He was fitted with a special CPAP machine, and his quality of life changed dramatically. He started sleeping well, his energy returned, and his mood improved. And he almost dismissed it as a trifle. Your health is not a trifle. Your well-being is not a minor issue. Every symptom that bothers you deserves attention. Don't apologize for seeking help. You have every right to it. The doctor's job is to help you, and your job is to tell them as fully and honestly as possible what's troubling you, without downplaying the significance of your feelings. Talk about your problems confidently, without apologies. Remember, your health is your most valuable asset, and taking care of it is not shameful, but necessary. The third phrase I strongly recommend abandoning: just prescribe me something for the pain, or for blood pressure, for insomnia, etc. We live in an age of quick fixes. Headache, take a pill. High blood pressure, take a pill. Can't sleep, take a pill. And when we go to the doctor, we're often already set on a similar quick pill-based result. Doctor, I have this pain here. Give me something to make it go away. We want immediate relief, and that's understandable. But such a request is like trying to put a bandage on a deep wound. The symptom might temporarily disappear, but the cause will remain. Remember Mary, she was 75, and she had suffered from back pain for many years. Every time she went to the doctor, she would say, Doctor, my back is acting up again. Prescribe me those stronger pills, or give me a shot to make it stop. And she would be prescribed painkillers, sometimes quite strong ones. The pain would subside for a while, but then return with renewed force. Mary was caught in a vicious cycle: pain, pill, temporary relief, pain again. She was convinced it was her lot in life to live on painkillers. She didn't even consider that things could be different. It seemed to her that the doctor should just take away the pain, and that would be it. When you ask for just something you shift the focus from finding the cause to simply managing the symptom. But pain, high blood pressure, insomnia, these are not independent diseases. They are signals from the body about some malfunction. It's like a fire alarm in a house. If it goes off, you wouldn't just turn off the siren and go back to sleep, right? You'd look for the source of the fire. It's the same here. Just prescribing something is like turning off the siren while the house continues to smolder. The doctor might, of course, accommodate you and prescribe a symptomatic treatment, especially if you insist. But is that the help you really need? When Mary finally changed her request and said, "Doctor, I have chronic back pain that's interfering with my life. I don't want to just mask it with pills. Let's figure out the cause and what can be done to get rid of it long term, or at least significantly reduce it." That's when the real treatment began. She was scheduled for an MRI, consultations with a neurologist and an orthopedist. It turned out she had problems with her intervertebral discs and a muscular imbalance. She was given a set of physical therapy exercises, prescribed physiotherapy, and advised to adjust some daily habits. Yes, it took time and effort on her part. It wasn't as simple as taking a pill. But the result. The pain gradually subsided. She was able to return to her beloved walks, and even started gardening a little. She felt like she was in control of her body, not a hostage to pain. Instead of asking for something try asking, "Doctor, what could be the cause of this condition? What tests are needed to find out? What are the treatment options besides just relieving the symptoms? What can I do to improve my condition in the long term?" This approach opens the door for a real dialogue and a search for a comprehensive solution. Don't look for a crutch, but for a path to healing. It requires more participation, but the result will be incomparably better. The fourth phrase to forget: "I read on the internet that I have," followed by a diagnosis. Oh, the almighty internet. Of course, it's a wonderful source of information, and it's great that you're interested in your health, reading, and learning new things. But there's a big difference between coming to the doctor with questions based on what you've read, and coming with a ready-made, self-diagnosed condition, and even demanding confirmation or specific treatment according to the internet. George, around 70, was a very tech-savvy computer user. Any sneeze or twinge in his side, he would immediately Google. And of course, he'd find symptoms of all sorts of diseases, sometimes very serious ones. When he went to the doctor, he wouldn't start by describing his sensations, but with a declaration: "Doctor, I've been reading, and I definitely have name of rare syndrome. I need this specific test and these specific medications, just like they say on the forum." Can you imagine the doctor's reaction? At best, a patient explanation of why it's not so. At worst, irritation and unwillingness to engage in a debate. George genuinely didn't understand why doctors underestimated his profound knowledge. He thought he was making their job easier by already having a diagnosis. But what happens when you come in with a ready-made diagnosis from the internet? Firstly, you could be completely wrong. The symptoms of many diseases are similar, and only a specialist with medical education and experience can correctly interpret them, considering all the data, your medical history, examination results, lab tests. The internet is like a huge supermarket where everything is on the shelves, good, bad, and unlabeled. You might grab the wrong product. Secondly, such an approach can make the doctor defensive. Instead of collaborating, they'll have to either dispute your diagnosis or try to gently guide you in the right direction, which takes time and energy that could have been spent on actual diagnosis. When George, after several not-so-successful visits, learned to phrase his concerns differently, his dialogue with doctors became much more constructive. Instead of "I have disease X," he started saying, "Doctor, I'm concerned about these particular symptoms, detailed description. I read on the internet that similar manifestations can occur with disease X and disease Y. Could you please tell me how likely this is in my case, or is it something else? What tests will help us figure it out? Feel the difference?" It's no longer an ultimatum, but an invitation to discussion, to a joint search. It shows the doctor that you're informed, but trust their professional opinion. The internet can be your assistant in preparing for a doctor's visit. You can write down your symptoms, formulate questions, read about possible causes, but don't diagnose yourself. Use the internet as a compass that helps you get your bearings, not as a map drawn by who knows who. Share your observations and questions with your doctor, not ready-made diagnoses. "Doctor, I've noticed that I feel heaviness in my stomach after eating. I read that this could be related to this or that. What do you think?" This approach demonstrates your respect for the doctor's knowledge and your interest in your own health, creating an atmosphere of collaboration, not confrontation. This is the path to an accurate diagnosis and effective treatment. And finally, the fifth phrase best left outside the office door. My neighbor, friend, relative had the same thing, and this helped them. How prone we are to share experiences, especially when it comes to health. And it's wonderful when we support each other. But when we go to the doctor and start saying, Patricia had the exact same joint pain, and those shots helped her so much, maybe you could prescribe them for me too. We risk leading the doctor down the wrong path, or, at the very least, creating an awkward situation. Patricia, an energetic woman of 78, was very sociable. She had a whole interest group of friends with whom they discussed everything under the sun, including ailments and treatments. And every time Patricia had an ache, she would first call her friends, gather a consultation, and then go to the doctor with a ready-made solution based on someone else's experience. I need the same thing Mary had. We have the exact same thing. It seemed to her that if the symptoms were similar, the treatment should be identical. She was genuinely surprised when the doctor started asking extra questions or suggested something different. Why is this approach ineffective and even potentially harmful? Firstly, we are all unique. What helped one person might be completely useless or even dangerous for another. Even if the symptoms seem identical to you, the causes can be completely different. Your neighbor's joint pain might have been caused by arthritis, while yours could be osteoarthritis or even gout. And the treatment, accordingly, will be radically different. A doctor is not a vending machine dispensing medications on request. Their job is to make an individual diagnosis and prescribe treatment that is right for you, considering all your specific features, coexisting conditions, and current medications. Secondly, by insisting on treatment like my friend had, you can inadvertently put pressure on the doctor. They'll either have to spend a long time explaining why it's not suitable for you, or if the doctor is less experienced or tired, they might give in, which can lead to ineffective or incorrect treatment. It's like trying to wear a suit tailored to someone else's measurements. It's unlikely to fit perfectly. When Patricia realized that her advice from the gallery wasn't helping, but rather hindering, she changed her tactics. She still valued her friend's experiences, but she started approaching her doctor with a different mindset. Instead of demanding a specific medication, she might say, "Doctor, my friend took drug name for similar symptoms, and it helped her. Do you think it might be suitable for me, or do I need something different in my case?" This is no longer a demand, but a question, a reason for discussion. The doctor could explain why that drug wasn't right for her, or, conversely, say it was one of the options, but further investigation was needed first. Sharing information with your doctor about what you've heard or read is normal, but it should be presented as food for thought, not as a guide to action. Your path to health is your personal journey, not a copy of someone else's. Trust your doctor as a guide who will help chart your individual path. Respect their knowledge and experience. This will help build a trusting relationship and achieve the most effective and safe treatment. Well, my friends, we've discussed these 5 phrases that, as it turns out, can seriously affect the quality of our communication with the doctor and consequently, the results of treatment. Perhaps you recognized yourself, your habits, in some of them, and that's perfectly normal. We all learn, and it's never too late to change something for the better, especially when it comes to the most precious thing, our health. Remember, you come to the doctor not as a supplicant, but as a partner. You have the right to attentive care, to comprehensive information, to quality help. Your wisdom and life experience are immense assets, but in matters of health, it's important to trust professionals while actively participating in the process, asking the right questions, and providing the most complete information about your condition. By eliminating these barrier phrases from your speech, you will open the door to a deeper understanding with your doctor. You'll be surprised how the atmosphere during appointments changes, how much more attentively they listen to your words, how a true collaboration begins for your main goal, good well-being, and an active, joyful life. Remember, you are the main conductor of your health orchestra, and the doctor is your reliable first violinist. Play this music together, and it will be beautiful. Be healthy and take care of yourselves.